Hello everyone. In the second session of the Flutter Festival, today we have with us your Flutter facilitator, Shigar. And yeah, let's wait for some time to for more peeps to join. And so, Shivam, you want to
Yeah,
say
so
anything?
I just want to know how many people have installed Flutter on computer.
You can say that I'm ready in the chat or anything of that sort. Just say I'm ready in the comments. We'll wait for some time and then start. Like wait for some people to join. Also, this session live, but yeah, we would also the recordings would be on our YouTube channel, so you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to, and you can find we'll most probably make a playlist of all the Flutter Festival videos, and you can obviously go and access over there. So no problems in that. If you want to install Flutter in your computer, you can either go to docs.flutter.dev and get started with the installation, or we have sent you the links of YouTube videos which we recommend that from where you can easily follow the steps along with the YouTube video. And I guess we have sent for Windows, Mac OS, and Ubuntu. So you can also check that out. We have sent that before on all the important groups and also in the GTSC groups, which are there, or maybe in some other groups also as well. So that is also there.
So, I mean, I can't see any comment here. Has no one installed Flutter?
Yeah, actually, a lot of them asked me before the session that will this session be recorded or not. So just wanted to say that might be there would be some people who might watch it later. But also,
Yeah, that's
yeah, also you can tell the comments if this timing works for you, the 10 p.m. timing. If
yeah.
that's an issue for you guys, you can also tell that it needs to be shifted a bit, or it could be in morning because the juniors are the I guess the new TT. I guess the old TT ones are at home, right, Shivam?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so you can even attend in the morning. That might be a problem for new TT ones. So maybe somewhere around even 6 or 7 can keep it. But I guess most of them were okay with 10 p.m. So no problem with that.
If you have any suggestions, you can just write down here in the
Yeah.
comments.
Also, we had a Google form for this thing. So that would share after this session also. You can fill that if you want to be like to make your participation in the Flutter festival. So you can fill that form. So I think I'll share that form right now. Shivam, if you have the link, you can send it to me or I'll share it.
Um,
Just wait.
just wait.
Yeah, I have the link. Just wait.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
So yeah, we are waiting for 1 more minute. If you guys have a doubt in the previous session, you can ask that.
Yeah, you can ask. Or any other thing you want to ask? How's it going? Like, currently, I'm having my PS1. Shivam is enjoying his holidays. I don't know. Okay, Shivam, let's start.
Okay.
So I guess let's start presenting. Yeah.
So yeah,
So this session would be about using the common widgets that are in Flutter. Sure, you can continue from here.
Yeah. So in this session, we will be starting with developing our app, right? So first, you can build an app in Flutter which would look like an Android app, and you can also build an app on Flutter which can look like an iOS app. First, let's look into how we can build an app which would look like an Android app. So all the Android app follows material guidelines. These are the design paradigm which are given by Google to develop apps for Android. Okay. So material app is a widget that wraps a number of widgets that are commonly required for material design applications. So material app widget can be used to wrap many widgets, which would give you your app a look and feel of material design, right? Uh, and material app configures its widget app.textile with an ugly red yellow textile that's intended to warn the developer
Yeah.
that their app
So
hasn't defined a default style.
you
Typically,
might
the
see
app,
that sometime if you forget to add scaffold, you might see that there's an ugly red yellow style. Like
yeah,
whenever I forget to write scaffold, I see that.
yeah.
That thing.
So yeah, there comes our second widget, which is scaffold. It implements a basic material design visual layout structures, which includes drawers, a small part of app that can just slide up. For example, you may have seen in apps a pop rising up from down, ask whether you want to do the action or not, like so on. And there are also many things which would require scaffold to make an app. So, okay, and it is typically not necessary to nest scaffolds. So, the functionality of a scaffold can be used further down the tree, so you don't need to nest scaffolds in order to get its functionality. Okay, and for example, in a tab UI where the button is you might be tempted to make each tab bar view a scaffold with a differently tiled app bar, rather it would appear to add a listener to yeah. So if you are making an app which has a bottom navigation bar, you can just use a single scaffold widget on top, and then you don't need to just specify scaffold widget for all the pages that the app has. Just for that screen which has a bottom navigation bar. Okay, I mean you
So
can, but
basically, scaffold
not
gives you a lot of functionality that you can add in the app from the scratch itself. You can have the app bar which is on top. You can have the drawer itself. You can have the bottom sheets which come from the bottom. You can even have the snack bar which is provided by the
yeah.
scaffold. So all these things, just by using this one widget that is scaffold, you can get an access to all these things which are pre-built. So you don't need to worry about it. You can just use it anytime using the
Yeah.
scaffold.
So that was a lot of jargon, right?
Yeah.
So I will just show you a simple structure of how our application would look like. So our application is represented by a material app, and the individual screens can be represented by scaffolds, right? And so yeah, if you are making an app for iOS, you should be following human interface guidelines. It can be done just simply by replacing material app with a Cupertino app widget, and scaffold widget with the Cupertino widget scaffold. And the thing you must know is, if you want to use a specific widget that is available for iOS, you don't specifically need to have Cupertino's page scaffold. You can even use those widgets in a normal scaffold widget. So uh, let's start doing an application, right? But yeah, where will I return a material app widget? I mean, there is a main function. There are some functions defined by us. So where would we have to return a material app widget, right? So there is a method run app in which you have to pass a widget as a parameter. Here we will pass a material app, as you have saw that material app represents your app, and you have to return your app at the root of the tree, right?
Yeah. For those who have already installed Flutter, you could have seen that when you when you create your first Flutter project, there's a demo which is already there, which is a counter app, right? So you can even check that out. I mean, you can check the run app thing and how it works, how they have made different sort of widgets, how they have used it. You can see the use of material app even for there. And yeah, just play around with it. Do something amazing with that thing. Make your own counter app, maybe change the color something.
So what the run app method does, it inflates the given widget and attach it to the screen. The widget is given constraints during layout that forces you to fill to the entire screen. You must have saw that your a mobile app generally fills the entire screen, right? So yeah, run app done does this exactly. And calling run app again will detach the previous root widget from the screen and attach the given widget in its place. So if you call a run app method again, then it will just replace the widget that was showing with a new widget that you are passing again, right? So yeah, it's a finally time to code an application. So
Let's get
my
started.
way of coding,
Yeah.
yeah. So you can use any idea of your choice. The thing I would recommend is just head to your terminal and just write this command flutter create and just specify an app name. For example, I'm specifying it as flutter festival.
Another
And
method could be just open Android Studio and just select the option of creating a Flutter app. If you are not that familiar with terminal, but yeah, personally, we would recommend you using and
yeah,
getting familiar with.
yeah, you must know basic commands, right?
So,
And then
the continuation.
yeah, so if you want to also specify the organization, then you can just pass a parameter organization, then maybe com dot flutter first dot
BSC or
session 2. Yeah,
yeah.
that works. So this will create a project, a new Flutter project. Uh, Basically, a new Flutter project is always a counter app, right? And if I want to open this code now in VS Code, which is my preferred ID for Flutter, then I just simply write code and then the name of the project. You will just open it up in VS Code. Okay. So now there are a lot of folders here, but we just have to mess around with lib folder in which we have main.dart file, right?
I guess
So,
just uh, run and show to them once, like how
yeah.
the demo code works.
So see, these are the available devices on which I can run this.
Mhm.
Currently, I will be selecting Chrome and will be building this project. Okay. So meanwhile, I will just go through this. See, in void main we are invoking this run app method in which we are passing a widget. It is a customly defined widget. You don't need to worry about this. We will learn about this. So basically, what this which does is it returns a material app, which a title, a theme, a primary swatch, which represents the primary color theme of the app, and a home property. The home property of material app takes a widget which you can pass any uh, you can consider it as a screen that you want to be displayed first. So yeah, here we are
Maybe you
passing.
can make any like we would be covering that later on the statefulness stateless. You can pass a stateless widget over there
Yeah,
or any other type of screen you want to show.
yeah. So here we are passing a const my homepage widget. it is returning is it is returning a scaffold. You can see here, which has a app bar, a body, and the floating action button parameters. Okay, we will look it in detail. So here is the app, a starter Flutter app, in which on clicking this button, this count will increase. Right. So, but we are beginners. We don't need all this code. So I will just remove it. So first of all, we will import the material library and then create a main method in which we will invoke a run app method and we will pass a material app as discussed. Right? Okay, a semicolon here. Material app has a home property in which you have to pass on the scaffold which you want to be displayed first. So here we have just a single screen app. So we are passing the only scaffold that we are going to make. And scaffold has parameters such as app bar, body, floating action button, etc. Currently, I'm just passing a body, right? Uh, okay, so now what widget should I pass in, right? So for it, we will learn about some widgets. I mean, my screen is visible or not?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, sure. So the first widget that we are looking is okay, yeah. Before heading on, if you want to learn about some, I mean, if you want to learn about all the widgets that Flutter has, you can head on to this website. We will just provide the slides after this session, so you can just go through all the
Maybe
widgets that
I'll
are
just
available.
type the link in the comment section right now. Okay.
Yeah, you can do that.
Continue. I'll just do
Yeah.
that.
So meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can just post it in the live chat.
Yeah, we will look into it in some
Yeah.
time.
So the first widget that you will be learning is a container widget. A container widget has a specific height and width. If you pass it a specific height or width, otherwise if you don't pass a specific height or width, it will just cover the entire parent widget. And you can pass constraints like color, and you can even define a decoration to it. A decoration will contain a border, color, a gradient, etc. So we will just uh, um, pass a container to this body. Uh, suppose I want to pass a color here. Uh, I just want to pass a light color. So what the material library has is enums of colors. So you can simply just select any color by just writing colors and dot, and then any color of your choice. Most probably Flutter would have that. And in case you don't get the color that you need, then you can even pass color and then hex code of
Write the hex
any
code of it.
color that you want.
You can even, I guess, provide the RGB values. I guess there's
Yeah.
something for that
So
as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Not
in
from
this hex,
ARGB maybe. Yeah.
yeah, even the yeah, you can do that too. This is particular hex code. 0x represents a hexadecimal number, and then the two F's here represent the opacity,
Opacity.
which we want to be fully opaque, right? And then this FF represents the R, the red color, which we want it to be full. So FF, and then this 5 represents the green color, and then this 4 represents the blue color.
Sure. I think you can run the app and show it so that
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
easier for them to visualize.
So if I run this app, Just let it restart.
Or Reader also works for that, right? For websites. Okay, let it take time. Might take time for the first. No
Yeah.
problem.
So meanwhile, we would just see there is a simple of just getting all the properties that a widget has. Just simply hover over it, and then you can see all the properties that a widget has. So you can define an alignment for this widget, a padding, a color, decoration. And decoration would include things like a gradient that you want to provide in the container, or border, or even a shape, etc. Then you have decoration for foreground, and then widget and height, and then constraints. You can even provide a margin. You can even just transform this widget. You can even yeah, these are all the properties that you can just give.
So actually, instead of stating it like that, you can just say that you can go into the docs and see what all parameters it has to offer, and you can use them from there. So,
Uh, what should I do? I'm just closing it and running it again.
maybe just try.
Uh, this should
AVD.
have.
Do you have an AVD?
Uh, yeah, but it will take a longer time to
Okay, no
compile.
problem.
Yeah. Uh,
Okay, let's just continue till then.
yeah.
Let's go in the background.
Okay. So container was our first widget, and then we have a sized box. A sized box is just like a container. It has just two, but it has just two properties, which is height and width. Uh, if all you want to do is constrain the widget, then you can use a sized box instead of a container. It will make your app much faster.
Uh, Size box you can use to give spaces between containers or to give space between widgets or any of that stuff
Yeah.
to make your app look very precise and exactly how the UI is. You can use size box for that.
So
Okay, so
as you
finally it
can
is
see,
there.
yeah, our app is loaded. The first thing that bothers me is this debug banner. I want to remove that. So I know that a material app has a property known as uh, debug show check banner, which by default is true. If I turn it false, then this banner is gone now. And the power of Flutter is this hot reload thing, right? So if I am changing a color here and just saving the file, then the color will change here. I don't have
Yeah,
to compile the whole code again.
just change the opacity and show maybe something like that.
Opacity wouldn't make an okay. Maybe we
Maybe it
can.
would like 0 0 if would there it would become black, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, it will become white. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, maybe just change the R color.
Yeah, maybe something like
Yeah, you can mess around with it. Yeah, see. So the blue has the highest value, so it is mostly blue color.
yeah.
Okay, and you can provide a specific width to it. Suppose I want to provide 100. Yeah, I can do that. Even a specific height to it. Let's say 100. Can do that too. So yeah. Suppose I want to give this container a width of this whole app. So what I can do is I can pass media query dot of context dot size dot width.
You
Context.
don't have the context right now, right? So maybe you can also do one thing is dot infinity to us, right? I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it
yeah.
was
We can even
dot
do
infinity or
just
something.
double dot affinity.
Infinity or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Just
easy way to do it
cover.
is
Yeah, and you
so
can even specify the height like this. But so double dot affinity, what it does is it will just use this container to cover all the width that is available to it and all the height
so
that is available to
so
it.
even if Shivam changes the, I guess, if
Yeah,
even if he changes the size, it would remain the
yeah.
same.
See,
Yeah.
this container is
So it.
responding.
Hmm.
So likewise, a container has a property known as a sized box. Sorry, a property which is child. You can
That's
pass, yeah, child. So you can pass another widget into a container. This maybe I'm passing just a sized box, but the thing is, a sized box wouldn't appear here, I guess, because it doesn't has its own color. Yeah,
it wouldn't appear because yeah, it doesn't have its own
it
color.
doesn't has its own color. It will just take this
Uh,
the color of this parent.
maybe you can just
Yeah, maybe I will
pass
just pass a container uh, here.
with some other color. So
Okay.
as you can see, you can have widgets inside widgets, and then again widgets inside widgets. So everything in Flutter is literally an object.
Yeah. So let's pass into color. What just happened?
I guess it took the color indigo because the color of the the width of the paint widget was infinity. I don't know, that could be
Yeah,
reason.
just let us just pass a
Yeah,
finite value to suppose 250.
and then 250.
Okay. Oh, maybe the issue.
I guess the thing is that it takes the size of the uh, widget which is of the higher order. It takes the width and height of that widget,
Okay.
as far as I remember. Yeah. So maybe if you
Okay.
want to try something, you can have to use a stack or something to show that.
Yeah, maybe what if I just wrap it in a side box?
Could be possible. Yeah.
No, I don't think it is possible. Okay, let it be. So you
The
just
thing that
learned
we want
about.
to show, that stack thing, you need to use stack for it. So no worries, we will
Yeah.
do that later.
Yeah. So what you just learned is a container widget in which you can pass a height with color, and I will also show the
One more
decoration.
thing, one more thing that you learned was that whenever you give height and width, it takes that of the parent widget, which I feel
Yeah.
that is the case in this thing.
So let us just pass a decoration property. The decoration property would require a decoration. In this case, I would pass a box decoration. Inside a box
Just
decoration.
inside dog box direction, just put just like give it another color, just to show that it gives an error if you give two colors to a
Yeah.
container. Just show,
When
because a lot of people face this error. Even when I was a beginner, I faced
when
this
I had
error.
faced
I
this
was like
error.
confused. Yeah.
Yeah. So suppose that in this container, I am using this color red, and in the decoration parameter, I am just mentioning the color to be green. So what this does is it would show an error.
It didn't show an error, but it didn't even do what that was required, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we Maybe the website doesn't show proper error. It just printed Flutter web bootstrap programmatic.
Maybe just
But yeah,
restart
it
it.
just shows
Might
an
work.
error. So what you should do is, if you are using this decoration property, then you should not use color here. Instead, you should use color here inside your
The
decoration. Yeah, and you can even pass border radius. Suppose I want to pass a border radius. A border radius requires a border radius geometry. For that, I would pass. What should I do? Circular. Uh,
I guess it was border radius. Yeah, maybe border radius only.
the
Border
border
radius
radius
circle. Yeah,
all, and I can
all
pass a
radius.
number
Yeah.
in it. Oh,
Mhm.
sorry, it requires a radius.
Maybe
Radius.
just put border radius dot circle and then you can provide it.
Yeah,
Border radius dot circle, and then you can provide what the radius could
yeah.
be. So I
So
guess it's
suppose,
double. So just provide 15 or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is showing an error because the comma is absent here. So yeah, here is a
So you
okay.
can
So
see
this
you
is
have a
a great
widget
opportunity
and
to see. Yeah. I will just increase
start
the border to, yeah, make it more clear to you.
100 away. 100. Yeah, it's more clear, right?
Yeah, you can see this container is below this.
Hmm. Maybe you just rediscovered a new stack.
Yeah. So this was about sized box. Let's come to center. Okay, so a widget that centers its child within itself. It is like self-explanatory. If you pass a child to this widget, it will just center this the child of it. Okay. Uh, Suppose I want this container to be at the center. So what I would do is just to simply wrap this the center widget. So what it will do is it will put this container at the center of the scaffold. Yeah, so it did that. Just okay, and then you have a padding widget, right? A padding widget would insert a padding across its child. So suppose I want a distinction between this green container and this dark blue container. So what I can do is just wrap with the padding widget. Padding would require edge insert geometry. Uh, so the 8 here indicates that the padding would be of 8 pixels. So let me just increase it to maybe 16. And what it did is it just added a padding to it, which made this appear smaller. Again, earlier it was touching this container, but now it is not.
So for those of you who don't know what is padding, it's just the distance from the
Yeah.
outer widget that is there to the widget you are giving your padding to. So maybe you can even try something like a margin over there. If you can explain margin,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's there. I guess in container it's there, right? Just maybe container may there would be a parameter known as margin. I don't remember exactly. Yeah, it's there, margin.
Yeah, it's their margin, which
Widgets.
also takes insert geometry.
So maybe you can show
So,
how margin works. It's kind of similar, but there's a difference between padding and margin. Just show them that.
so let me just pass 12 on 0 here.
Hmm. So I guess it was just remove the
Yeah,
padding. Maybe I don't know. Just remove the padding. Not remove the padding. I mean just make it zero or something. Adjacencies dot
okay.
all make it zero. Yeah.
Yeah,
So margin is also kind of a similar thing, or kind of similar like padding, but it is basically the distance from your parent widget to this. So that would be
yeah,
margin.
but the The thing is, this container widget has this parameter as margin, but some widgets like a text widget may not have this margin
May not have, yeah.
parameter. So in that case, you can use this padding widget, right?
Yeah. So you can give
And
padding widget to any widget that's out there.
yeah,
To give appropriate padding, so that the UI looks a bit more cleaner and neater. Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
that is.
this looks more better than this. The square was just touching this outer square, right? So that's the case. Now let's move on to another widget, which is column, right? So you just saw that there are we are just nesting one widget into another and so on. But what if I want to have multiple widgets in this blue box, right? So for that I can use column widget. Um, Let me just remove this thing, whole pattern thing, and let me just uh, write a column here. So a column has a parameter known as children's. It will take a list of widgets. So here I can pass uh, uh, this green box that I had. So let me just pass it, and let me just decrease its width to maybe 40 and 40, and then okay, yeah. So if you want to just format the code, then the shortcut for it is Control Shift I for Ubuntu, Control Shift F for Windows, and for Mac maybe it would be Command Shift
Not
S. I'm not sure about Mac. So yeah, that's how you would format it. And I just want to copy this widget again and again, and I will just change the color of it. So suppose I want to make it a yellow color, this one is a red color, okay. And if I run it, they would all be like, oh, traffic signals inverted. Yeah. So what it did is, uh, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is this doing is children take a list of parameters. So I passed three containers to it, which was wrapped with a padding, and it displayed these three containers like this. Okay. And this had a very large border radius due to which it is becoming circular. So maybe if I pass a, smaller value of radius, then yeah, it is like a square now. Okay. And the thing is, see, you must have noticed that the column has arranged these containers, uh, uh, aligned this to vertically the center, right? So the thing is, you can change that too. So a column has these two properties: main axis alignment and a cross axis alignment. So if I change the cross axis alignment to cross axis alignment dot start, then hmm, what will it do? Like it will just start the column from here, not from here. So yeah, I mean for a column, the main axis alignment is this one, and the main axis is this one, and the cross axis is this one. So if I just write a cross axis alignment as cross axis alignment dot start, then it would just start it from here. And suppose I am just writing main axis alignment is equal to main axis alignment dot end, then yeah, it is the end of this column is here. Initially, it was starting from the start. So yeah, the default value for main axis alignment is main axis alignment dot start, and cross axis alignment is cross axis alignment dot center. And we have changed it here. So that was a column. And now I just want to, yeah, the row is just like a column, but it is horizontal. It will just display the children widgets in a horizontal way. So let us just try to row here.
It's
So
quite
yeah,
intuitive that column would be a column and row would be a row. Simple.
yeah. So one thing that you must know is the main axis alignment for row is this one, which is served as a cross axis for the column, right? So these two things are inverted for row and column. So you must remember that. And the thing is, and there is one more thing. If you want these all widgets, these all children widgets to be equally separated, then you can even write this as main axis alignment dot space evenly. It will just give a even space to each of them. So yeah, it looks more better, I guess. And if I just do this cross axis alignment dot center, then it is just in center. So let us move on to another widget. Oh yeah, so let us just read it. So yeah, if you have a line of widgets and want them to be able to scroll, if there's insufficient room, consider using a list view. A list view is also a widget, but we
So
would like
maybe
you to
show
learn about
them
it.
what happens if you overflow that widget.
Yeah,
Maybe do something
yeah, yeah.
more
I will just
interesting.
yeah. Um, Let me just
Yeah,
pass
just
a lot of
overflowing
setting.
it.
Yeah. So
So
what?
yeah.
So this is showing that a right overflow by some 134 pixels. Right?
So
So
the
to
parent widget, which is the square, uh, was over. Basically, you can't move beyond that. The child widget, which we have, is the padding, and within that is the container that we are showing the yellow ones and the red ones, and the green ones. You can't make it beyond the parent widget. So what you need to do is do something that can make it scrollable, or maybe use something that is different, right? So that is only
yeah.
what his list view is about. So yeah,
So,
you can continue.
so yeah, I mean, you can learn about list view from the Flutter Talks too, and it is also there in the widget of the weekly list.
So
I
there's
will
a
just
playlist. Yeah, just I would share that thing uh, if I can right now. Okay,
yeah,
so there's a thing on the Flutter's YouTube channel, which is a widget of the week, I think, right? Something
yeah.
of that sort.
On
So
Flutter,
you can go through all these. You can go through all these YouTube videos which have it. You could get to know about a lot of widgets from that as well. So when you like first get to get started and you think about like there are so many widgets, how would I learn each and every one of them? So you don't have to learn each and every one of them. You would learn it on the way as you need them, right? So if you need a widget that can be scrollable, we would learn about it from the docs, from the YouTube channel or of the Flutter or anywhere. We would ask someone like, "ये कैसे किया? How we can make this?" So that's how you learn. You need to explore different things as in when you need it, right? So
yeah,
when you need to make a simple app, just focus on the basics right now. Just focus on what is the scaffold, what are the functions of a scaffold, what is a container, what all things can I do with a container, and just focus on the basic widgets, right? And yeah, let's continue with the session.
yeah. I mean, if you are just going to try something new in your app, then you can ask someone else who is doing Flutter that
Mm-hmm.
is there a widget available for this thing or not? Most probably there is a widget for everything that you would like to do. So yeah, you
Is
can.
there a voice lag, Shivam? Atul is
Uh,
saying that there is some voice lag.
Hello, can
Hmm.
you hear?
Yeah, I can hear you properly. Am I audible? Like, is it
Yeah, you are also audible to me.
we find in that space internet issue? No problem. Let's continue.
Yeah. So these are the toolings from which you can learn this list view widget, and it is a homework for you, right? And the thing is, there is also single child scroll view. If you pass a child to this widget, it will just make it scrollable. So let us just read something about it. a box in which a single widget can be scrolled, right? Okay. So sometimes the layout is designed around the flexible properties of a column, but there is this concern that in some cases there might not be enough room to see the entire contents.
Like you
Just like
just saw,
what,
there was, yeah,
yeah,
overflow in the parent container.
yeah.
So you can maybe use a single size rule for
So
that.
yeah. So this can be due to some devices having small screens, or because the application is switched from landscape to portrait mode or the invert. Okay.
Mhm. So
Uh,
let's cut the jargon. I think we can just show them how they can use
yeah,
single child
okay.
rule to solve the issue. Yeah.
Okay. So if I just
This thing
wrap this row widget with a circular, sorry,
with single
single
child rule
child
view.
scroll view
Just
widget.
yeah, and
Then it
maybe
will,
you can do it horizontal. The axis you have to write it horizontal. I guess. Yeah, the axis you
yeah,
have to mention it. That is because by default it is vertical. Like you can scroll it
yeah.
like you normally scroll in your apps like
You
Swiggy
have the
or
scroll
scroll
direction
that.
property in which you have to
Yeah.
pass the axis.
So
Scroll
by default
direction,
it is vertical. Just make
axis
it
dot
horizontal.
horizontal. Yes.
Yeah. So the now the error that it was shown of overflow has gone, and now you can scroll
Yeah.
within your container. So that's
I'm
it.
able to scroll this freely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to try something out, I will just copy the entire children again.
Okay. Okay. Maybe just paste over there. So it won't
So
show an overflow error. I mean, I don't think
so
so.
yeah,
Yeah.
all the children are visible without any overflow error, right? So that was a single child scroll view, but we greatly recommend you to learn about the list view widget also, right?
Yeah, list
Okay,
view
let's
has
move.
its own like use cases. Like if you want a different containers to be in a list, and there are different I think parameters which help in list view, like the item
Yeah,
count.
you can
You can
define different parameters for the different elements in the list through list
so you
view.
just check out the list view as well.
Yeah,
That would be also of great help from the view. There's also known as a list view builder, if you might know that.
yeah.
I guess list view builder is better than list view, right? There was something of that sort.
No, I mean the list view is a widget, and that list view dot builder is the builder is just a
Okay,
factory method of list view.
okay, just
So yeah,
factor. Okay,
it's just
okay,
the same widget.
yeah, just the same widget to call it. Fine.
Yeah. And then we will learn about the text widget. So let me just remove all these things. Um, and yeah, I am in this children property of row. So yeah, I can just enter any widget that I want.
So
I enter text widget.
if you were lost or somewhere, just to remind you that row had a property of children where you can pass different widgets which can be arranged horizontally in a row, which the
Yeah,
name suggests that would be in a row. So you have to pass different widgets in that. So you can even pass like what we did before was passed a container, but now Shivam is passing
the
text
row
itself.
to it.
Yeah, in the row. So
Sorry,
you
text
can
widget.
do that as well. You can pass any widget in that. You can
Yeah,
even
you
make
can
your
even
own
pass
widget and
another row
pass.
inside a row.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
So I just passed that a text widget. So here you can see it is written hello world. So
And just
what
make
I
it wide, change the
yeah, so
colors of
what I
it.
would like to do is just change the color of it. For that we have a style property which is text style in which we can pass a color. So yeah. And yes, I mean this simple property that we are currently saying, you must remember You must try to remember at
Yeah,
least all of these
I mean, you don't have
points.
to remember them. You just look up to them when you need them.
Yeah, but
And as you build projects, as you develop more and more apps, you would get used to it. And just like me and Shivam are able to do it, you would be able to do it easily because you have
yeah,
done it so many times. It's like any other thing that you learn in this world, right? I
yeah,
mean, if you do it again and again, you will get used to it. It's as simple
yeah.
as that. So there's no need
Okay,
to
so
worry that it's a bit complicated or anything. You'll uh, everything has its own learning curve, and I think Flutter has an easy learning curve, to be
yeah,
honest,
compared to
than
native
most
Android
of
and
the
so
other.
on, yes.
Yeah, so it is pretty easy to grasp all the concepts and things to build your
Yeah.
own.
So this is how I just wrote hello world here using a text widget. Okay. So a text style also has parameters like font size, font weight, etc. So if I want this to be bigger, then I can just specify a font size. Suppose let me specify 24. Then it will, yeah, it will just increase the font size of it. And I can go crazy like 100. Yeah. And the beauty of this thing is we have this row inside
Single
single
child
child
mode.
scroll view, so I can just scroll it. So, yeah. Okay, so this was something about text. Let's just head on to another widget. So now we have image.
Okay,
So
image.
image has different constructors. Uh, like you can have an image in an asset, and you can use that. You can even specify a URL of the image and use that. You can even have an image from a file that is in your device. This maybe won't work for web, but it will work for mobile devices and desktops.
Maybe just let's show them the asset and network. Right? They
Network
are the
is,
most used one.
yeah,
So
and
let's first do
yeah,
network one. It's much easier.
yeah, and these are the supported formats for images. Okay,
Yeah, yeah, just check.
so let me just do this one, and I want an image from network, so I will use this image dot network thing. So image dot network, and this will require a string source. This property, in this property, you just have to pass the URL of an image that you want to display here. So let me just search on Google
You can even
landscape
actually make it more interesting. You can even pass a GIF over there, as far as I remember, right?
landscape.
Maybe it's
Yeah,
pass a GIF over there. Shivam, I will tell you.
yeah. So what GIF should we pass?
GIF, you go on to Jiffy or some website and just select any GIF and yeah,
Okay.
and then select any GIF that will be there. I mean, this could be helpful to a lot of people.
Yeah, sure. Or maybe yeah, it is.
Yeah,
So suppose I just want this
any
GIF.
GIF would do.
So
And share the share thing that is there. Yeah,
sure.
and just
And
copy
then I
GIF
will just
thing.
copy the link
Yeah,
of GIF, and then I will mention this link
just
here,
paste it over.
and then
I think it should work.
yeah,
And then you have a GIF for yourself, I guess. Yeah,
yeah,
it's there. Same. It was good.
yeah. It seems like it is making fun of this container. So yeah, that was image.network. So if you want an image from asset to be displayed here, then first of all you would make a folder which is would be assets, right? So let me just open a, I mean, just create a folder assets here. I just want it to be able. Can I just do that? Um, I have my turn open, sir. Okay. So yeah, I have this assets folder. Inside this folder, I will just download an image. Um,
You can even download how you can download any image. The one tricky thing would be using the pubspec.yaml file, which you would need to edit a bit. Uh,
um,
just save the image. Save image as
okay, and
or maybe save it directly in
interface.
the assets. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we have saved this image in the assets folder that we just created, and now we would head on to pubspec.yaml file, and then you can see this line assets in your right. So what I would do is just select those lines. We'll just uncomment it, and here we have to specify the directory where we are storing the assets. So for
And
us,
don't mess up with the pubspec.yaml file. It's quite important. And
yeah,
don't mess up with the indentation. I would like to
yeah,
say
indentation is very
indentation should
important.
be consistent. So just to keep in mind the indentation. If you are getting any errors, maybe look for the indentation. You would have missed out a space or maybe put an extra space over there, something like that. So yeah, so be sure to look that up.
So in this case, we have this asset download.jpg image, which is inside this assets folder. Okay, so I have just written this, and I will just save this file.
I think
So,
after changing the pubspec, you need to restart the application. You can't hot reload or hot
yeah, yeah, yeah.
restart,
Yeah, I
as
will
far as
just
I remember.
restart it after making changes. So suppose I want to now display this image from asset, so I will write image dot asset and just pass the name, or in this case we have to pass the path of the image, which is assets and download dot jpeg. Yeah. And you would have to restart this time since reload won't work after changing an asset. What is this?
Yeah,
Unavailable asset.
reload won't work, so you need to restart the application. Not hot restart. You need to stop the application and then build
Oh,
it
acha.
again because the
Okay.
pubspec.yaml file has been changed, so that is required. That is
Yeah.
an error a lot of people face, and they ask me every time, "Why am I getting this error?" And I always say them, just build it again. It would work."
Yeah. So here you can just pass multiple assets folder,
Yeah,
right? Even you can pass some custom fonts. I mean, you can just uncomment this and just experiment with this file, but just don't mess the indentation here. That's the thing.
yeah.
Okay, so
So I
just
guess is it? Acha, it's waiting for the connection. No problem. We can wait a bit.
yeah. Uh,
What was there in the slides? Are we missing anything? Yes. Yeah.
so yeah, so these are the formats that all the platforms support, like Android, iOS, web, Linux, macOS, Windows, everything. But there may be some other formats that the individual operating system would be supporting. But yeah, not all operating systems. So here we have this image from our assets. Uh, yeah, it's the same thing. Okay. So that was something about image. And let's move on to another widget, which will be yes, icon widget. icons are very useful in Flutter. So we are just working in our word. Let me just increase this with of it.
Are we working in a scaffold?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
maybe
are
just show them the app bar. Uh, if they
yeah.
are
I
looking
mean,
for the icons, just show them the app bar.
yeah, that's in another
Asha.
slides. Yeah,
Okay, it's in our notes. No problem.
yeah. So we have this icon widget in which you can pass an icon like icons dot, and then you have many icons like this. You have all these icons. Suppose I want a icon of add a photo, then yeah, I can just do like this. See, just how to reload this thing, and yeah, here is our icon. I can even change the color of it, and you will be seeing that this doesn't look so good. So in this case, we can use a padding. So yeah, it has a distance from here. And meanwhile, you can also use a sized box to just get a distance between these two things. Like I will just pass a width as maybe what should I pass 40. Okay, so this will just make a distance from here. So sized box can also be used just for giving spaces, and we do it a lot.
There is.
And also, yeah.
Yeah, you are. You are. Maybe you can just show them. It's a different thing, but you can show them what a spacer does. I guess will it work for a single child scroll view? I don't know.
No, I don't think it would work because single
Yeah,
child scroll view
because
is
yeah, you
unbounded.
can't give.
Yeah,
No problem. Don't do that.
yeah. So, okay, so let us just move on to our next widget. Hmm, we have a card widget. So anything that is wrapped in a card widget would have slightly rounded corners and an elevation shadow. A card is usually used in Material UI a lot, so there is a specific widget for it.
Yeah, you must
And
have seen in like in your apps like Swiggy, another thing also. You have different cards and as
yeah,
a layout.
yeah,
So that is what you can use.
yeah, a part of the UI is a bit elevated and it has a
Mhm.
little bit rounded corner. It is basically a
Yeah, you
card.
can even give it a box
Yeah.
shadow or something of that sort to
So,
make it look good.
yeah. Suppose I want to just make this dark blue container a card, then what I would do is I will simply wrap it with a card widget.
It didn't change
And
anything, but you can now use the properties of a card,
yeah,
which should be the parent of that child, that container. So now
yeah,
the
you have all
card
these
is
things
basically the
available to
parent
you.
of the child. Yeah,
Yeah, so you can give a
yeah, you can use elevation
elevation to
to
it,
that. Hmm. I think
maybe
yeah,
the
maybe
web version
increase the
does,
elevation a lot so that it's a bit more apparent.
or maybe I think that what is the color? Shadow color.
Maybe.
Um,
It's I think it's a very little that color is showing. Maybe just lower the elevation a bit. I guess. think, I think it's very
maybe
less, but it's still visible. For me, I think it's visible. Okay, let's try something else in the card itself.
what?
Let's try something else in the card itself. Like I think you can even give it Decoration, you can give it a width. You can
No,
elevation, shadow color you can give. So
yeah, shadow
obviously,
color I give it as black. Maybe the thing is the web version won't support this art too much,
or
and
maybe it's wrapped inside a center and not anything else.
so should
But there's a
I?
scaffolder.
Yeah,
No,
there
not
is a scaffold.
maybe not remove that widget. Hmm. Swap it with cards. Okay. Hmm.
I mean, there is a little bit black thing here.
Yeah,
I
there's a
mean,
little bit of the elevation part, but not that much. Maybe you can give shadow in a the different way. That is using the box shadowing
yeah, I mean
in the container.
for
Yeah,
container
you can give it
decoration, I can. Yeah, um,
box decoration. You can give it a box shadow.
see this box shadow parameter requires an array of box shadows,
Yeah.
so you can give a color to it.
So, just a pro tip you can say, if you are maybe designing an app or something from Figma or UI on Figma, you can they provide you CSS over there in the Figma file, so you can use that CSS to exactly replicate the box shadow over here. So these are some things. Yeah, these are some of the things that you can. I mean, like we can tell you
So yeah, this
if
is
you are
a
going.
kind of shadow to this widget. It's looking a bit weird. So we haven't supplied a color here. Maybe colors dot
Yeah, color is
uh,
maybe some
void.
other color you try. Maybe some other color, not violet. Maybe make it light blue or green. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you
So
can
now
see
you can
this
see the
shadow is
shadow.
looking perfect now. And yes, you can just mess with this blur radius and spread radius to just make it look like what you want. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah. So what I was saying that in the Figma file itself, you can uh, get the CSS, which can in turn give you uh, box shadow constants that you can put it over here and get the exact thing from the Figma, like replicate it exactly.
Yeah. So those of you who don't know what Figma is, can you just give a brief description about?
Yeah, so Figma is basically a tool which is used by the designers to first make the UI, the user interface of the app, or even for websites and all. The UI designers use Figma or even Adobe XD. So these are some other tools that are used for it. So in Figma, if you go, you can get uh, the code of the
Yes,
CSS, which you can
yes,
convert
you
it.
can get all the properties like what is the blur radius or the spread radius of the
Yeah,
shadow,
exactly.
and you can
So
just
you don't need to
simply
worry
implement
about
it.
it. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
try it out on Figma, and if it looks good, then you can replicate it over here. Something of
Yeah.
that sort I wanted to say. But okay.
Or maybe you can just use trial
Yeah,
and error method here.
just
Yeah.
play around with it over here also, no problem.
So that was something about card. Now we have a list tile. List tile. There is a great example of list tile. I mean, if you have see what if you have saw WhatsApp, then all the contacts in WhatsApp are just listed in list tile widgets.
Yeah, WhatsApp and even your contacts that is in your phone book, all these
Yeah.
apps, there's a set format for it. You can see a leading widget over there, which is your photo in WhatsApp, your profile photo. Then there is the name of the group or your name or the person you're texting. You have that as the main text, and then you have below that something that you want to provide. And there's also a lagging thing which is at the end of that text of that list type. So you can use list style to, if you are trying to create something that is generic
Looking
or
like a
that
contract.
looks like, yeah, that looks like
Yeah.
WhatsApp
So,
itself or something of that sort.
yeah, so here a list style has all these properties: title, subtitle, leading, trailing. They are all widgets, and yes, there are a lot of properties. We will look into it. First, let me just pass on a title, which will be a text widget, which will show list title. And let me also pass a subtitle, which will also be a text widget, which will just read out as list style subtitle. And let me pass a trailing widget as icon, which would be icons dot add. This I must be capital. So I'm just creating a list style here. This is so um
What happened?
yeah, there is an error.
What is the error? I didn't see.
Cannot hit test a render box that has never been laid out.
You have to use the list view for using the list style. Yeah, like
Or
I feel.
maybe even you can just enclose it with card.
Maybe just use the list view for that. Right? It's easier.
But list view is their homework. And yeah, I mean, I have tried a list style without using list view. It
Okay.
has worked. Maybe this must be some different. Yeah, maybe the widget tree must be
Box centered
having
further and
a,
infinite width. Maybe the list. Okay, I get it. We are using a single child scroll view, and then we are passing a list view, which is giving it an infinite thing. So maybe that would be a problem. So what we can do
uh,
is,
no, I mean,
I guess that's the problem because mostly you can't use it over there, right?
no,
Maybe
the thing
list view
is,
doesn't have fixed constraints. It takes the infinite width, right, of the tile. Tile takes
yeah,
the infinite width of the
so,
parent. So maybe you can't use it under this single set scroll.
so yeah, maybe I would just wrap it with a sized box. It's the perfect time to give the example of sized box.
Yeah, maybe you can
I will
use it.
just pass height and width as what should I pass? 200.
But still, the parent could be okay. Let's see. Let's try it out. No problem in trying different things. Yeah, it kind of works. Yeah, it's giving an overflow error, but it works. No
Yeah,
problem.
I will just increase the size of this.
Yeah. Hmm.
Gain
You also
overflow.
increase the size of the image, I guess. I mean the size of the child, right?
Yeah, the list
Just
style would just keep on increasing. So
hmm. So that means that it's taking the infinite length of the parent. I mean,
yeah,
till the parent goes, the list file will go till that. So what exactly happened, what the error was about, I would like to explain it because you might face this error a lot of times while developing. So what a single set store view is, gives you an infinite length, right? And then list view was saying that I would take that whole infinite length. So obviously list style wanted the length of the parent, and the parent was single child story, which has an infinite length. So you can't give infinite length to the child it has.
yeah.
So what Shivam found a way, or what you can say, a round way for that was he gave a fixed size box to the parent, and that inside that parent he gave the list view, which could take the size of the parent. Yeah. So instead
Yeah,
of
so
the modified size is also fixed size, which Shivam decided. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how a site box can also be used, apart from just giving a distance between
Yeah.
widgets. So
Okay, so let's
yeah, I mean,
continue.
you can just yeah, you just see this list here. It has this.
Maybe
It
just
has this
increase
title.
the size of the green container so that it doesn't give the overflow error.
Okay,
Some people
okay.
might be thinking that what are we doing with the
Yeah, I
overflow.
mean,
It's not a problem. I mean, till you know how it's need to figure out.
Mhm.
I guess you need to change the sound width of the size box as well.
Yeah. Now it is looking perfect.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, this is how a style looks. So in a in the list style in WhatsApp, generally you have a leading widget as a image of the person with whom you are chatting, and the title will be the name of the person, and the subtitle will be the last message that you sent, right? So let's just head on to the next widget, which are buttons. So, in Flutter, as of Flutter, I mean, I have written this that as of Flutter 3.0 because earlier we had some different buttons, but currently the latest thing is we have three types of buttons, which are text button, elevated button, and outline button. So this that you are seeing is an elevated button. This is a outline button, and this is a text button. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. No problem.
So let me just add a button in this green container. So what I will do is in this
So what you
corner.
can either do is create your own widget from scratch, which looks like a button from the containers, give it an animation or something of that sort, or you can use a pre-built uh, widget, which is the outline button or text button, which Flutter provides from the
Yeah.
material UI, so that you don't need to code it yourself. You must have
So
seen these buttons in the native Android also. I mean, it
yeah.
looks and feels similar.
So elevated button has two properties. One is the on pressed property which it takes a function, and the other is a child property which will take a widget. Okay. So in this elevated button, I have passed a text widget which says elevated button. I will create an outline button too, and in this on pressed, I will just pass an empty function. In this child, I will pass a text outline button, and the third type of button is a text button. So text button on pressed would be just a simple function, and then text. Then text of the text button, I want to keep it as text button, and I will just how to load it. So yeah, these are the buttons as you can see. I will just change the color of this container so that it is more visible. So yeah, these are the buttons: elevator button, an outline button, and the text button. So the thing is, you can even modify the color of these things. Uh, what is it? Yeah. So elevated button has a property which is style, which in which you have to pass a button style, And button style has all those properties like color or the border, radius, and so on. I wouldn't show it, but yes, you can explore it. I mean, we have a limited time. Okay. Okay, so now it's the time for app bar. App bar, as you may have seen in many apps, we have uh, app bar in the top, right? So in Flutter also you can create that. App bars are typically used in the scaffold.appbar property. There is a app bar property in scaffold in which generally you would pass an app bar. So yeah, and this is the app bar property, and I am passing an app bar widget in it. Okay, so app bar has all those properties. I would just pass a title property, which would require a widget. Uh, the widget I would pass is a text widget, which will just read out as uh, this is app bar. Okay, so yeah, the app bar just came up.
Yeah, so the app bar takes the length of the whole thing because that is the, I guess it's in the scaffold. So scaffold is the whole, takes the whole of the screen. So
Yeah,
obviously, if it's in the, if the app bar is a scaffold, it would take the whole screen.
yeah.
So that's not an issue.
Uh, and let's just move on to our next widget. So yeah, I mean, you can just there are a lot of properties in all these widgets. I mean, it's up to you to on what level of extent you want to just play with these widgets. I mean, I would like to advise you to just give a little bit time and explore all the properties of all these widgets. And so the next widget that we are going to see is the floating action button. So in your contacts app, you must have saw that there is a button with a plus icon in the lower right of the app. So that is known as a floating action button. So floating action button is a circular icon button that hovers over content to promote a primary action in the application, like a create, share, or navigate, etc. Okay. So and floating action button are most commonly used in the scaffold or floating action button field. So the scaffold has a property known as floating action button in which you would pass a floating action button widget. So here is the scaffold. Sorry, we will pass floating action button and floating
So there
action.
was one thing, right? If we have two floating action buttons in one scaffold, then you need to uh, make a label for each one of them, right?
Yeah,
Something of that.
yeah. I mean, that would be a little bit going into deep, but yeah,
Yeah.
floating action button uses a hero widget in the background, and a hero widget requires a unique label for it to work.
Yeah.
So yes, to
Yeah.
have
I mean, you
floating,
just go and check out what is a hero widget. And
yeah,
I
it
guess
is
it's
also
even
not
used for
within.
animations and all that, right?
Yeah,
Hero animations is there, so you can even check these things out. It's quite interesting, to be honest.
yeah,
uh, like Also the thing with Flutter is that you can learn as and when it's required, right? So as and when
yeah.
you get
I mean,
the things, as in when you see things that you require, you would learn those things and implement it. So that's
yeah.
not an issue.
It's just like a Lego. You just have all the blocks that you need, and you just can build anything that you want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just those
So
Lego pieces are your widgets. So
yeah. So a floating action button also has this child property in which we can pass a widget. So I will just exactly do the same. And as a widget, I will pass an icon which would be maybe some. We have a do disturb icon too. Okay, so let's just see what is a do disturb icon. So yeah, so this is a floating action button, and this is the do disturb icon inside it. So yeah, this is your floating action button, and then so if you found all these widgets interesting, then don't forget to binge on widgets of the week on Flutter channel on YouTube, just as we said earlier. And yes, also there were many things left out due to time limit, but I will try to cover those in next session. Okay, but yes, I will just I just showed you this website, right? Uh, and I told you that we will make something similar to this in the next session. So what I would do is I would show how to just get another widget. Use someone else widget in yours. So to just access all the widgets that are available for Flutter, then you can just go to pub.dev website, and here you can just search for anything. Let me just open the code that I used. So yeah, this is the folder, and in the pubspec.yml file, in I can see all the dependencies that are used. So for floating bubbles animation, these all things that are just floating upwards. I used this dependency floating bubbles, which you can even find it on pub.dev. Here it is. So to just get this thing on your project, what you will do is just go to the terminal. Just ensure that it is in the root directory of the project. And just simply write flutter pub add, and then the exact package name, which is floating underscore bubbles. Okay. And it will just add this package inside it, the project. So, and a manual way of doing it will be just going to postspec.yml file and adding this line under the dependency section. But I won't recommend doing this, because if by chance you just mess with indentation in postspec.yml file, then yeah,
Yeah,
you
it
would
would
have
take
to waste
as
a lot of time just correcting it. And this pub.dev uh, website will also show the usage of the widgets. So yeah, this is the floating bubbles widget. Yeah, that's how you would use it. These are all the
so you
properties
can
that you can.
find the example or the implementation of any package that is there on top.dev.
Yeah.
So yeah, Shivam, I think
So
we can just conclude with implementing this. Right?
yeah. So see, this is the floating bubbles, and yeah, somewhere inside is, yeah, this is just always repeating thing. So yeah, I just used it, and I just hovered over it, and so all the properties that I can insert into this, and I just used all of them. Meanwhile, this is using a stack. A stack is also a widget like a column and row, which takes multiple childrens. But the thing with stack is it lays its children on one on top of each other. You can also explore stack as a homework, right? So in the background, we have this floating bubbles widget, which we just took from pub.dev, and then on top of that, we have an align widget. You can also explore this align widget. And the child of align widget is glass container. Again, a glass container is what I took from pub.dev. I will just simply search here. last container. So yeah, this is what I got. So similarly, just I will
Just
just yeah.
so you are also putting that. Okay.
So yeah, this is how I will just add this inside my project, and then yeah, I just gave all the properties that I felt were good, and inside it, I passed the child with text widget, which read out my name, and then I gave a specific text file to it. So this was it. This is how I created this website. I mean that we are having a less time, so what I can do is I will just provide you the code of this website. You can just go through it.
Also, what would be the next session on, if you remember that?
Yeah, the next session will be creating stateful widgets. And
Okay,
yeah, I mean,
stateful widgets.
yeah, I mean
Okay.
we have not even introduced it less widget. So yeah, the next
Okay.
session will be just creating custom widgets.
Yeah, you can say that. Like till now, you had seen buttons, you had seen the widgets which are already there in the material you have. So what in the next session would be creating our own widgets, our own customized widgets using the widgets which are provided by Flutter.
Yeah,
So yeah, be sure to uh, attend the next session also.
yeah. In this session,
And in
we
the
haven't
next session, you have
yeah we haven't
yeah,
just
sure.
messed around with these functions.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
on-press will also mess around with these,
So like with
and
that.
a lot of other widgets.
So maybe I think at the next session we can make, if it is just stateful widgets, so we can maybe make that snake game lines of code and just show how
Yeah,
we can make that, right?
yeah. I mean, what I would suggest is uh, the viewers who are watching this video, you can just write whether you want that snake game app
Yeah.
be shown as a tutorial or
So
not.
by snake game I mean that Nokia snake game that we used to play when we were like
Yeah,
6 or 7 years old. So that we can make in Flutter and with a much better UI and obviously with much better functionality. Obviously. So yeah,
so that was it. And yeah, I mean,
so that
if you
was
haven't installed Flutter, then I would advise you to install Flutter and just go through all these widgets again.
so
I
for
mean, if you
those
are
who
feeling
didn't end the session live, no problem with that. Just install Flutter and just go through this session again to know about the widgets. You can also, if you think that this video is too long or anything of that sort, just go to the this widgets of the week on Flutter channel on YouTube and just binge that playlist. It's just like videos of about 1 minute or so, and you'd be able to know about that widget. So it's quite simple and easy and convenient to know about them. Other than that,
and
if you have any problems while installing Flutter or anything, or any problems while like while coding, you can just ping us, me or Shiva,
yeah, so the
on the group.
other thing is, if you are filling that Google form that we are providing, then we will just create a WhatsApp group of all
Yeah,
of us,
we will create a WhatsApp group
yeah,
maybe.
in which I will just share the slides with you, and
Mhm.
maybe I mean you can even just watch the widget of week of all these widgets that are introduced here.
Yeah.
It will just
So
give you a
I
chance
was
to
just
guide you.
wait a minute. I was just searching the playlist of widgets of week. Just wait a minute.
Yeah, I mean even I can do that.
I'll just share it in the comments so that people are able to see that. Yeah. Okay. So I think this wait. Yeah.
So, so this has many widgets, but But at least learn about the widgets that we introduced today in this slide.
So I think that was it for today's session.
Uh,
And it was for those who aren't able to attend, do tell us what time we can keep it. I mean, if you are not comfortable with 10 p.m., you can just tell that to us. Or maybe you can just watch this video. It would be uploaded on YouTube as soon as I end the session. So, yeah, that was it.
yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Shiva?
Mm, no, I mean, yeah, that's enough.
So for the next session would be mostly try to create the snake game. It's a very simple game which anyone can create. I just want to show, like, I will maybe share that with you. Maybe you can just play around with it. And it's just the beauty of it is that it's just 200 lines of code, and it's very simple to make it. So yeah, do attend the next session. It would be very important. And that was it for today. So bye bye, good night, and yeah, have a good day.